Well, sometimes you click the buttons and nothing happens. So anyway, hello everyone. Welcome back to many I'm sure are just joining to see how much I can screw up on the production side of it. So anyway, hopefully that was it and we're off and running. It's going to be an interesting show tonight. We've done shows before on suicide and taking your own lives. Tonight we're going to be channeling with Laura. We're going to be channeling with Jerry Garcia of the Living Dead, who ended his life early because of taking illegal drugs. And then our old friend Robin Williams is here as well. So it's going to be a good one. Elena, hello. How are you tonight?
Good. How's everybody doing today?
Well, speaking for us, not bad. Another normal day. So anyway, I'm sure everybody is anxious to hear what we have now that they know what we have. So we might as well get started.
Okie doke. So each soul energy must prepare a life plan before entering an incarnate life on Earth. The life plan incorporates lessons that must be learned for the soul to advance in the realms of heaven. If a human cuts his life short by using their free will and taking their life prematurely, many of the required life lessons are not learned, and they will have to repeat the lessons in other lifetimes. Tonight, we're going to investigate the impact of human creating suicide and why it should never be considered. We'll start our channeling with our master guide, Laura, and discussing the need to carry out life plans. Then we will channel with the famous star Robin Williams, who took his own life prematurely, and then Jerry Garcia's, the famous guitarist and lead singer of the Grateful Dead, who died because of the effects of drug use. We'll start with Laura, our master guide. Greetings, Laura. Laura, please begin by telling us how life plans are generated while the soul is in heaven.
Your life plan is totally based on the lessons that you have to learn. The lessons that you have to learn are based on what lessons you learned in your prior lives. So when you come back to heaven, generally there's a period of time, and then you decide that you want to come back and reincarnate for another life. That's going to require that you have a fresh life plan. We as guides know everything about your lives, and your individual guides will help you decide what lessons you have to learn. Once you know what lessons you have to learn, you'll decide what souls you want to reincarnate with from your soul family. And we have to pick a family for you, and we have to figure out all the paths that are required for you and your soulmates to get together. But in that life plan, there are lessons, and the lessons are really the whole reason why you're returning. You must learn lessons to advance in the realms of heaven. So these lessons are the most critical part. Throughout your life, these lessons will be learned in different ways in different times of your life. Many of the lessons are not learned until you're later in life. If you step in and take your life intentionally before those lessons are learned, obviously they still remain outstanding and they must be learned in your next life. So the lessons are not going to go away. The only thing that can go away is your incarnate life. And when that happens, your soul returns. And when the soul returns, there are no more lessons of life to be learned. You're now in heaven and you have to start over. So that is why it's so important that no one ever considers suicide.
Can you only become incarnate on Earth, or can you go to another planet and become incarnate?
You can go to whatever planet you choose. But keep in mind this. There are certain planets where only certain lessons can be learned. So let's say you lived an incarnate life on the planet Earth, and you created situations where lessons could only be learned on that planet. So now you have to return to that planet to learn those lessons. If you did not create situations or karmas in your prior life on that planet, then you don't have to return to it. And then you can make decisions where you want to go. So different lessons are learned on different planets. So it all depends where you were in your prior lives.
How do prior life karmas affect the life plan?
Well, if you live a good life, you're creating good karmas. If you're following God, you're creating good karmas. And when we make up the life plan for your next trip, we will reflect those good karmas into your planning. If you harmed many people, if you had great wealth and didn't use it to help others, especially, then you are creating a karma for future lives of poverty. So you will have to return back to the planet where you created that karma, and you will have to live lives of poverty so that you understand how bad it was or how difficult it was for those people that you were influencing by not helping. So poverty is strictly the basis of karmas. You create the karmas yourself if you have to live a life of poverty.
Does a soul energy have to return to an incarnate life?
No, it can make the choice to stay where it is. But if you lived a bad life, we have probably placed you in a lower realm. And the only way that you can get back to the upper realms is by returning to incarnate lives and learning your lessons that need to be learned. So that is why it is so important that you live a good life, create good karmas, and then your future lives are assured to have good karma. There will be difficult lessons. Whenever a human returns to the planet Earth, there are many difficulties. There are many sicknesses, grief, all the things that we've talked about in the past. But you don't have to return. I mean, if you're afraid of the lives that are in front of you, you can stay where you are. But the downside of that choice is that you will never be able to rise into any of the realms above you.
Is that all bad?
It can be, depending on what level you're in. If you've been placed down in, say, the third level, the disadvantages are very great because there is so much more that you can do by advancing. So it's up to you. If you're happy where you are, and then so be it. You don't have to return.
Can you change your mind down the road?
No, your karmas are absolute. You have no control except when you create the karmas. Once the karmas are created, it creates lessons that you must learn moving forward.
But suppose you decided that you were happy at, I'm going to pick a number, level 4, and you didn't want to move on. Could you at a later time say, okay, I now want to try to move on. Can I go back to Earth and
Yes,
learn
you
my
can make a decision at any time to return. It's always your choice. You have free will in heaven as you do on any incarnate life.
Great. Okay. How are the final decisions made for a life plan?
You have some control. You have no control over the lessons because they're the result of karmas that you created. But you might be able to want to put a karma off into a second future life, for instance. So you can have some control, but when you make the choice to return, it's going to pretty much be determined how you lived your prior incarnate life.
Just lost my space, my place here. That's if a soul has directly harmed another soul in a prior life, does the soul who wants to return have to wait until the harmed soul returns so that the karma is repaid directly?
Depends on how bad the karma is. It may be it's a general karma. For instance, if you had great wealth and didn't help hundreds or maybe even thousands of people, you're not expected to repay the karma individually, but you will repay it singularly by living a life similar to the life that all those people lived.
So then what happens in the case where a soul has harmed many people, like as in the case of Hitler?
In the case of Hitler, he has his hands full. He harmed many people indirectly. So he will have to return for many, many lives, so each of those indirect souls have been repaid for the evil that he portrayed upon them. But he gave the orders and was in charge. There were also people that carried out the orders that created bad karma as well. So it's a complex situation, but just say that Hitler will have to live perhaps millions of lives to repay all that he did.
Has he relived any yet?
No, he is still in that lowest level.
Okay. What are the implications when a soul commits suicide?
The implications are that it has ended its life before lessons could be learned. When it returns, it will have to watch all the grief that it caused by taking his life prematurely, and all of the lessons that have not been learned will have to move to a forward life for him. So he cannot run from the lessons. So simply put, when you commit suicide, you have destroyed a lot of the life plan that you had made for yourself. It is always easier to live out the life and to go through the trials, the sicknesses, whatever it is. As difficult as it may seem to you in your human life, keep in mind the shortness of your human life, and your soul life is so much more important. The soul life has these lessons that must be learned. Get the lessons out of the way. Do not commit suicide. Do not create the grief and the harm for others that a suicide creates. Live the life plan as best you can. Many people have no idea what the life plan is, but live it until it is your time to return. You will know when it is your time, trust me.
How is a soul judged when it commits suicide?
Eleanor, you broke up on that one. I'll repeat.
Am I back?
Yeah,
Okay.
You're back, but go ahead.
How is a soul judged when it commits suicide?
It is judged in two ways. It is judged for the life it lives up to that time of taking his own life. And then he is told what lessons still have to be learned and fulfilled in future lives. So how you live your life at all points is very important. Just because you commit suicide does not mean that living an evil life up to that point is forgotten. The karmas that you create during an incarnate life will follow you, whether you take your life or not.
Do you have a final message for us about committing suicide?
Yes, never consider it. It is always best, no matter how painful the lessons you're going through in that life that you're living, to follow through and know that when your lessons have been learned, your soul will return to heaven. A human life can seem like it is infinite in pain and suffering, but it is far from it. Your soul life is forever. That human life is simply a blink of the eye in your soul life. So never, ever consider taking your own life and cutting your life plan short.
Thank you, Laura. Next, we're going to channel with one of the most beloved actors and comedians, Robin Williams. He took his own life in 2014 and was mourned by millions of fans around the world. Robin, thank you for joining us again tonight. Would you like to begin with a message for our listeners?
Of course I would. Have you ever heard an actor or a comedian that did not take an opportunity to speak when they get the chance? I must admit that in the beginning, I was very reluctant. When I first returned to heaven, I was overwhelmed by what I had created. I never realized that so many people would take my life, my death, so deeply into their own lives. Many people were crushed by the fact that I had taken my life. I never realized how many people truly loved me until I got over here and realized the great mistake that I made. I truly loved reacting with the people. But throughout my life, I'd had depression. There was a great exterior that I was putting onto the world. I had insecurities, even though I felt that I was helping some people. I never truly felt that I was doing all that I should be doing. When I was diagnosed with that illness, all I could think of was the effect it was going to have on my family. I truly underestimated the love that my family had for me and the grief that I would be creating by what I did. So I did many things that brought joy and happiness to me people. And in the end, I screwed up by bringing sadness to many. So I can agree with what your guide Laura just said. Don't ever take your own life. I knew as soon as I was leaving my body, I'd made a mistake. But by then, trust me, it's way too late. So I appreciate the opportunity. I know now that I can serve people by speaking to them, and I enjoy taking the opportunity to do it.
Would you please tell us about the medical diagnosis that led you to making the decision to take your own life?
I'd had depression all my life. I started feeling very bad. I started to shake in my hands, and I had a feeling that my memory was slipping. I was diagnosed with Parkinson's with dementia. So I was going to have a fairly short time to live, but it was going to be a very difficult time. I would essentially have become a shaking vegetable. And that was how I was thinking about it. I did not want to put my family through having to watch my body degenerate, to watch me not even be able to recognize my family. All I could think of was how it was going to hurt them. And I honestly believed that I was going to make it easier on them by taking my own life so they did not have to see this taking place. What I underestimated was the true love that my family had for me and the terrible grief that I caused by taking my life early. I could have remained a good example going through this illness until my memory made me look a lot like a carrot or maybe a red beet, but I took an easy way out. There is never an easy way out. You must always follow what you have laid out. What I did not realize was that I had actually helped formulate this life plan because it was a lesson I have to learn. Now, when I come back, I'm going to have to go through all of this again. So hopefully I'll go through with it. But the lesson is don't ever take your own life.
What role did depression play in making the decision to take your own life?
It played a fairly large role. Needless to say, if you have depression and find out you're going to be dying of a terrible illness, you get more depressed. You reach a point that it really overtakes your body. And it helped me use a logic that was wrong. I took the easy way out. I rationalized it would make it easier on my family. I really didn't consider the effect that it was going to have on all of my fans that had followed me through the years. All I could think about was that I did not want them to have to witness what was going to take place. And I did not want to go through it as well. So I took the easy way out and made a huge mistake. Now I will have to repeat this in a future life.
Did you have any idea about the repercussions of taking your own life?
I thought about it, but my own personal feelings overwhelmed. I realized, I guess, in my heart that it was wrong, but I simply did not want to put my family through this. And I did not want to go through it. I figured it would be much easier just to simply end it. I did not realize all the repercussions. I truly wish that I would have known then what I know now. That is one reason why I come forth and speak about it. It's still very painful to me to know the great mistake that I made. But everyone that listens to my words does not have an excuse because they are listening to somebody who went through it.
When did you first realize that you made a bad decision?
As soon as my soul left my body, the angels were there to greet me. They knew, they could see what I was doing. And they said, Robin, we're very sorry that you just did this, but come with us. It's your time to go to heaven. And when I did, as I watched my body there, and then I waited until my body was discovered. And trust me, at that point, I truly knew I made a mistake.
How were you greeted when you first entered heaven?
The angels were there. They told me that they were sorry that I chose the path that I chose, but to come, and that they would take me, and that all would be as good as it could be. But they warned me that I was going to have to remain in a position that I would be watching all of the grief that I caused and created. So even though I entered heaven, heaven is so complex. It's beyond anything that I can describe. But I was aware of what was taking place, even though I was entering heaven and was seeing this incredible place. My guide said that they would not complete the judgment until I had an opportunity to see for myself what was taking place. And I had to watch all the grief that I created. It was terrible. And it took me quite a while to really adapt here in heaven to it. But I came to understand, and my guides and angels helped. You know you're in trouble when you have to have an angel for a counselor. But they talked to me, they explained what was taking place, and they said that you will have the opportunity to make up for this in your future lives. And they told me what was going on, and I watched, and I was very disturbed with it, and I certainly understood that I would never do it again.
How are you judged when you return to heaven?
I was told how many people I had helped through my life, that I had been living a great life. And then it was like I stepped on this banana peel when I got this sentence from my doctor. And everything changed. All of a sudden, it was strictly about me and my perception of what I wanted to do to save my family and to save the people around me from having to go through this. I was judged very well for everything up until the point I took my own life. I'd helped many people. I brought a lot of happiness. My acting had brought guidance to people. And I had essentially done what I was supposed to be doing in my life plan. But then the final lesson that I was to learn, that tripped me. And that's where I screwed up and decided to take my life. So I was judged very positively for what I did, but I had to watch all the grief that I created. And they explained to me very clearly that it was going to be part of my next life plan because I cut this one short. And they told me it would be so much easier not to have to go through this whole thing again. So everything is really quite logical in life and in heaven. Live a good life and live it to the end. Don't let the bumps in the road stop you. I did. I hit a speed bump, and now I'm going to have to pay for it in my next life.
What was the most difficult event you had to endure from heaven?
Watching my family, it was terrible. I don't even want to talk about it, to be honest with you.
What do you think when you found out how many people truly grieved for you around the world?
I was actually astonished. I knew that I had a large fan base, but I did not truly understand how deeply they cared for me. I was truly loved, and I never really understood it. I think if I would have truly understood it, it would have helped me with my depression. But when you're depressed, you push common sense out. You don't see the obvious. It was truly obvious how many people really appreciated my work and truly felt strongly about me, but I overlooked it. Depression makes things very difficult. I'm not making excuses. I should have looked through it and I should have understood.
How will the decision to take your own life affect your future lives?
I'm going to have to relive the lessons that I failed to live. God gave me the opportunity to set a good example for while I was going through this illness as long as I could. It gave my family members the opportunity to set a good example as they were caring for me. So not only did I screw up my own life plan, I took the opportunity for my family members to set a good example as well. So there's many implications. You will never understand the implications of taking your own life until you return. And then you're going to have this great, oh crap, and understand just how foolish you were in your decision.
What would you like to tell anyone using dangerous drugs?
I would tell them not to do it. Drugs are only going to kill you. Illicit drugs are going to destroy your life just the same as depression can. Many people get addicted accidentally to painkillers and advance into more difficult drugs. But just simply don't do it. There's no way that illegal drugs are worth it.
Do you have a final message for us?
Yes. Please pay attention to what I'm saying. There were times that I could be a very funny person. I'm not trying to be funny when I tell you, do not ever take your life. It was the biggest mistake that I made as Robin Williams, and it will haunt me into my next life. The grief that I caused, that I had to see, was terrible, even in heaven. So don't ever consider it. You came back with a life plan that has to be fulfilled. Every life plan is full of opportunity. Use even the worst situations to set a good example. All people will go through grief. Many go through depression, but overcome it. Go for a walk in the woods, listen to the birds, do all the good things that God has provided for you. I hope that you truly pay attention to what I'm saying. I'm here for a reason. I'm now trying to set a good example for all of you that are listening. So thank you very much. I always appreciate the opportunity, and may God bless all of you.
Thank you, Robin. We know that it's not easy for you to talk about this, but our hope is that by speaking with us, you'll be able to save the lives of others considering suicide. And speaking as a former Mork and Mindy fan, nanu to you too.
Okay.
You knew I had to get that one. Next, we're going to speak with the spirit of Jerry Garcia. He was the lead guitarist and vocalist of the famous musical group, The Grateful Dead. Jerry died in 1993 at the age of 53 from years of drug use, culminating with the use of cocaine. While he did not take his own life in a single action, the drug used caused his premature death, cutting the life short of one of the most talented guitar and songwriters of contemporary time. Hello, Jerry, and would you like to begin with a message?
Yes. Thank you for having me back. and I appreciate all the kind words. I guess maybe one of the best ways that you could describe me is I was a screw up for a lot of years. God blessed me with talent. I could play the guitar, I could sing, I could write music. People, huge numbers of people followed our band. The Deadheads were everywhere. I was highly regarded. And I could have used my life as setting a great example. The times that we were in were historically were a bit different. Drug use was rampant everywhere. Psychedelics, LSD, hard drugs. It seemed like everyone around me was using them. And I hate to say it, but it seems like it was commonplace. Many of our songs even, I guess, accentuated drug use. Psychedelics, it was a way of life with us. I think we tried to justify it by saying it made us more creative, but maybe in the short run it helped at times, but in the long run it certainly didn't. I saw many of my friends die of it, of illegal drug use, and I still continued. So I had a long life of misuse and abuse, and I paid for it at an early age. I should have seen it coming, but I guess my body was weak. So I hope that my words too, along with Robin's tonight, can help lead people to making the right common sense decisions.
But why was the drug use such an important part of your life?
I guess it was because everyone around me was using it. There was a time that our band was supported by the production by one of our people making LSD and selling it. Psychedelics were incredibly popular. No one really considered the fact that LSD was such a dangerous drug that it could lead to more addictions, to harder drugs. Marijuana was everywhere, even though all these things were illegal. But I think basically it was just simply a way of life. Our band, everyone in the band at the time used drugs. Those around us, the parties that we would go to would feature drug use. It was a time that is very difficult to explain. We had it all. Our band was so popular. We had friends around the world. And yet we were all destroying ourselves internally with these drugs. It wasn't that our friends weren't setting examples. We were seeing our people that we knew dropping over from overdoses, from drug use. But I guess you come to the mindset that it will never happen to me. Well, I didn't ever truly overdose, but I certainly destroyed my body through the drug use. My words, I hope people listen. Stay away from the illegal drugs. They're going to kill you. It's that easy.
But didn't you realize that the drug use would shorten your life?
I saw it shortening other people's lives, but I'm telling myself, I was deluding myself that I was controlling it, that I wasn't truly addicted. I found out that I was, but you fool yourself. Some people are just more easily addicted. Some people just simply don't have the willpower to walk away from it. So I deluded myself, and then I realized that my body was deteriorating. But by that point, I was addicted, and I went to rehab, and it was just simply too late.
You saw famous singers such as Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, John Bonham, and many others die from drug overdoses. Again, why did you still make the decision to use drugs?
Because I felt that I could control it. I watched these people, these great talents die, and I guess I was more addicted at the time than I gave myself credit for. I always told myself I was controlling it, that sometimes everyone around me was using, but they were controlling it as well. I guess you never truly look at the dark side. We were famous. We had hundreds of thousands of people following us, listening to our music. I guess your ego takes over, and you say that if I can, my fame comes maybe from using the psychedelics. It's making me a better musician. You're lying to yourself. People that are using drugs are lying to themselves. They're saying that they can control it, but there's no way. Those drugs are much powerful than even the strongest individual.
What effect did the use of LSD or the psychedelics have on your music?
We thought that it was making us more creative, that by using psychedelics, it was bringing out creativity. We were writing our own songs. Everyone around me was using psychedelics. It was becoming a way of life for us. It was becoming a normality. And whenever you have a normality, it's taken for granted. We thought it was making us more creative, that we honestly believed there were times that we were playing much better together when we were under the influence. Our music was based on creativity. Quite often, we would never play the same music the same way twice. The members of the band were incredibly talented, and we had the cooperation, I guess you would call it, in our music. We were very innovative in what we did, and there were times that we thought that the psychedelics helped with our innovation.
Do you think that your drug use led others to use illegal drugs?
Yes, sadly it did. Our parties, anyone that would come, we would introduce them. They would have drugs available. So I know that our drug use led other people to trying it. We did not hide the fact that we were using psychedelics. And I know that other people tried them because we did. We had people that were devoted followers, and they felt that if drug use was fine for us, it would be fine for them. So sadly, that is another downside. And that was part of what they spoke to me about when I returned, that I had led other people to using drugs. And even though I didn't totally realize it, in my heart, I knew what was taking place.
In 1990, you saw your fellow band member, keyboardist Brent Mylan, die from heroin and cocaine at the age of 37. What effect did this have on you?
It broke my heart. He was an incredible musician. He had been with us for many years. I could count on him. He was a wonderful individual, but he was totally addicted to the hard drugs. I saw it getting worse. When he passed, it broke my heart. And it helped influence me to try to go to rehab, to try to break the addiction. But my body had already passed the point of no return. I was having heart problems, lung problems. My abilities to function were decreasing because of the drug use. But when he died, it broke my heart.
How were you greeted in heaven?
I was greeted When my soul left my body, I think it was in many ways a relief for my soul. Even though I had this great fame, I was never really, I guess, a happy person. I I tried in many ways to break the addiction chain and couldn't do it. The angels were there to greet me, and they said, "We will now." They told me what was taking place, and they helped bring me into heaven, took me to my guides, and at that point, my death did cause quite a lot of grief among other people. But I think everybody understood that I was degenerating, that it was coming. We had tried to keep the rehabs quiet, but word was getting out. I was no longer as active with the band as I should have been. And I guess in many ways it was a relief that my stupidity had finally caught up with me. I had many things I did want to do, more songs that I wanted to write, but because of the drugs, it all came to an end.
When you're in heaven, what is your greatest regret?
My greatest regret, I guess, is that we lived this psychedelic, drug induced life. I think we could have, well, I know we could have done a much better job if we had not all been basically under the influences that we were under. The talents in our band were incredible. To see drugs take the lives of our friends, to understand, and I never truly understood until I returned here to heaven. I saw the disappointment of our fans that we were no longer able to produce the way we had before. As I watch over here, in many ways, I think more people are listening to our music. I guess I underestimated just how talented our music was and how unique the sound and what it was like playing in front of those large audiences. Once you're here, you can look back and see these things, and understanding comes to you. I wish that I had the ability to write songs about what I now know, but I don't. Drug use definitely shortened my life. There were many things that I was supposed to remain alive to do. I could have set great examples. If I had tried to go to rehab earlier, I could set great example for people, showing that you could break the addiction, that you could use the addiction as an example to help others. Instead, the addictions brought me death. Once you are gone, there's no way that you can truly set a good example. So I lost many lessons that still have to be learned in future lives. Drug use is simply another form of suicide. You are taking your life early when you decide to use illicit drugs. There is no other way to look at it. And when drugs take your life, there are lessons that you should have learned that you will never, ever learn, but you will have to repeat in your future lives. So the end result is the same. Even though Robin, in an instantaneous event, took his life, it just took me more years. But drug use, the end is the same. The only advantage is I get to see my old friends over here who lost their lives so early. The great talents. Janis Joplin was an incredible person. She was so talented. Morrison, they're all here with me now, and they're all saying that they're so sorry that they let the drugs cut their lives short. Stop and think how great music could be if all of these individuals had died of old age. But the people were robbed of these great talents because these great talents could not control the lives that they were living. The pressure of performing in front of people. Drugs help relieve that pressure. I'm not making excuses. I'm just simply telling you. These great people, they all took their lives short. They all regret it. They all wish it had never happened. So please don't use them. If you're addicted, go get help. Do what you have to do to break the chain, because there is only one ending for drug addiction. It will kill you.
What do you think is the most important lesson that you need to learn when you come back?
I am going to have to set examples for people. I may be living a life of helping others through that have drug addiction. Maybe I'll be a doctor. Maybe I'll be another performer who keeps a clean life. Maybe, who knows, I might even specialize in gospel music because now I understand heaven so much better. I don't know, to be honest with you. I'm up in the air of what I want to do. But I do know that I have lessons that still have to be learned. And I'm sure that it will have something to do with helping others. I'm just not sure what it will be.
How are you judged, and what role will drug use play in your future lives?
I had a mixed judgment because of the people I influenced towards drug use. I was told that I could have done it differently, which is obvious. So my judgment was fairly difficult. I brought people great enjoyment through my music. I helped lead a generation towards a type of music. Actually, many of our lyrics were spiritual, and many of the meanings were well hidden. And to be honest with you, some of the meanings I never really understood till I got back here, that my guides had helped me lead them in certain directions. So I'm really not sure what the future is going to lie for me, but I know that when I come back, it will be helping others one way or another.
Do you have any parting words for us?
Yes. Listen to the music that we played. Listen to the words, and I think you will understand in many of them a true spirituality. But whatever you do, do not get addicted to drugs. Drugs serve no true purpose in the life of a human. They will cut your life short, and you will find out that through your life being shortened, you will have lessons that will follow you into your future lives. There's nothing good about illicit drugs. Do not lead others to try them. We did, and our guides were very explicit about the fact that we were creating bad karmas. So trust me when I tell you, it will only shorten your lives. So thank you so much for allowing me to speak. I hope that my words will help with others. Enjoy the music that we played. I think that we had a very unique sound. And believe it or not, if you truly listen to many of the lyrics, you will see a spirituality there that not only is in the words, but will help our music last. So thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I wish that I could sing, but I know that Barry's voice is not exactly what you want to hear. So goodbye, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Jerry. You were an incredible talent, and the world truly missed your great music. We hope you find peace in heaven.
Yeah, great show. Now, I never truly realized just how great Garcia was. But when you listen to him playing acoustical guitar or electric, I mean, the guy he was one of a kind. And so sad that drugs took his life early. Believe it or not, I still spend a lot of time listening to Grateful Dead. It's probably the last thing people expect me to be saying at this point, but
Hmm.
the lyrics are incredible. I've actually printed out many of these songs. Uncle John's Band, for instance, Ripple, they're all very spiritual. So you see, I really do listen.
Hmm.
So anyway, we'll be back again next week, Ella. Don't know, as I say, somebody will come to me and tell me what to do. They always do.
They always come through.
They always do, and they always will. So thank you, everyone. We'll be back again. Check out our other shows. On Wednesday, I bring you a message from Jesus. So check it out. I guarantee you that you will definitely enjoy it. So goodbye, and thank you for tuning in to Pathways to Knowledge.